Which one is faster? Flutter Web or standard web technologies? To find out, I decided to build my new website both with Flutter and with HTML, CSS and JS. And since I just launched Code with Andrea 2.0, I thought it would be cool to also create a Flutter clone to see if performance on Flutter Web is any good. So in this video, I'm going to give you a performance breakdown of both versions using two websites called PageSpeed Insights and Web Page Test. So if you want to find out which website is faster, keep watching. And if you are new to my channel, please like and subscribe for more Flutter videos. Alright, so let's take a look at my new homepage and see what the layout looks like. For reference, I'll keep my live site on the left and the Flutter web clone here on the right. So at the top we have this intro with a newsletter sign up, and then we get this section that showcases some feature tutorials using some cards. And then we have another section about my Flutter courses, and this is followed by some testimonials from some of my students. And then we have this about section about myself and why I created this website. And we finish up with an email sign up and a page footer. And if we take a look at the Flutter web version, we have exactly the same layout all the way to the bottom. So apart from some very minor differences, the two websites look almost the same. And now it's time to find out how fast they are. So let's run them through PageSpeed Insights first. And all we had to do here is to paste the website URL that we want to test, and this will generate a report on mobile and desktop. And out of these options, mobile is more strict because it's simulated on a slow 4G connection. So let me reload both pages so that we can do a fresh run, and then we can click on Analyze and generate our report. And we can do that for both sites at the same time. Alright, so here we go. And let me speed things up a bit. And as we can see, the report for the live site is ready after 11 seconds, while the Flutter Web one is still chugging along, and this only completes after 39 seconds. So let's take a look at the test results, starting from the live site. And as we can see, we get an overall score of 93 for performance, and important metrics such as first contentful paint and largest contentful paint report a value of 2.6 seconds. Next, let's see how the Flutter web version did. And in this case, we are not so lucky because we get a performance score of just 25 with very high values for all these metrics, indicating that it took more than 10 seconds to show the page on first load. Next up, it's time to take a look at our second benchmark, which is Web Page Test. And one great thing about Web Page Test is that it offers many advanced settings such as the connection speed, screen dimensions, and many more. So for this test, I just keep the default settings, but feel free to try different ones if you're curious. And just like we did before, we're gonna run the test simultaneously for both sides. Alright, so here we go. And well, this is funny because I had to complete this CAPTCHA and it looks like now I'm stuck in a queue. And this definitely didn't happen when I first ran the tests. But since my dedication to this cause is very high, I went for a coffee and came back right when the tests started running. And just like with the previous benchmark, in this case it took a little while for the Flutter tests to complete. Alright, so here we have the final results. And what we can see from here is that the main site gets a speed index of 0.8 seconds, which is pretty good. Meanwhile, the Flutter web version has a much higher value of nearly 13 seconds. And one very important thing that contributes to this very big difference is the bytes in metric, which tells us how much data was downloaded in order to load the page. And as we can see, the main site only downloads around 300 kilobytes of data, while the Flutter web version downloads over 4 megabytes, making it nearly 14 times heavier than the main site. And as a result, other important metrics such as first contentful paint and speed index are 10 to 15 times slower for the Flutter version. So the bottom line is that the Flutter web version downloads 10 times more data and loads 10 times slower than the main site. Of course, this only happens on first page load, and subsequent reloads are a lot faster because all the content is cached by then. But still, 4 megabytes in download size is unacceptable for content websites such as mine. And you know what? This shouldn't be news to anyone. In fact, even Tim Snead himself says that Flutter is an app framework and it shouldn't be used for content-heavy websites. And the Flutter documentation says exactly the same thing. So while I had fun building this clone with Flutter, I knew from the start that this wasn't the right choice for performance, as well as SEO, which is absolutely critical for me. And this wraps up our performance comparison between Flutter Web and standard web technologies. And the takeaway here is that if you're building simple or complex websites, then you're better off learning popular web frameworks like React, Vue, or Svelte. But if you're building cross-platform apps that are mobile first, then Flutter is your best friend. By the way, if you head over to this page on my website, you'll find a complete report with all the performance results from the tests that I've been running. And if you want to find out how I built this Flutter clone, then you can head over to this page on GitHub, where you can find all the source code. And if you'd like me to share a speed code or a time-lapse video about how I built this with Flutter, then make sure to like this video and leave a comment below. Finally, I hope that you like my new website and continue to learn Flutter with all my tutorials. And if you're quick enough, you might even take advantage of my Black Friday sale and get my Flutter courses for a discounted price. Okay, so that's all for today. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.